every time I think that the whole Fiona Harvey, real-life Martha from Baby Reindeer situation is over, something else crops up which adds another twist to the tale. And that's exactly what has happened today. As yesterday, at the time of recording, Piers Morgan uploaded another video to his Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel, which was another follow-up interview with a host of people regarding the entire interview and the fallout of the series for Fiona Harvey, who of course has said that she plans to sue Netflix for defamation for the claims made within the Netflix series against her character and for portraying her as someone that she claims not to be. So I'm only going to take a snippet because, you know, if you want to check out the full thing, there was an entire half-an-hour video on the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel. But I'm going to take a snippet, and it's wild. It's just wild. That's all I can say. So obviously, there's a whole array of people. Obviously, Popcorned. Planet Popcorn's over on the end here, and we've got other people as well. This lady absolutely hates Piers Morgan, so I was very surprised to see her on the show. But just take a look at this.
Yeah, there's the disclosure and barring service, and which issues certificates, criminal records checks, as they're more commonly known, and anyone can apply for their own disclosure and barring service certificate, and that will reflect whether someone's been convicted in court. And of course there are court records. If it's suggested that this is a true element of the story and that she did appear in a criminal court, was convicted and was sentenced, that's a matter of public record, and whichever court that happened at would be able to release that information to the press. So it's either true or it's untrue, and therein I think lies the problem for Netflix and the creators of this program, because I have yet to hear, by way of defence, that there is a court record showing that Fiona Harvey pleaded guilty to a crime and was sent to prison.
Now, that's something that we spoke about yesterday. Obviously, at the time of recording, there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Fiona Harvey has ever been to prison or that she's ever had any kind of injunctions put against her or anything like that. That's, again, at the time of recording. So, Richard Gadd did come out on Lorraine and I believe it was the Good Morning Britain to say that the arrest and sentencing to jail scene at the very end of the show, almost the wrap-up, was fabricated for the sake of the show. But, you know, of course, this has obviously upset Fiona Harvey because she's claiming that never happened. So it's interesting to see that they're talking about this.
And you would have thought they'd be shouting from the rooftops if any such record existed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but we would have it by now, no question.
Sorry, can I interrupt? I'm sorry, I'm really annoyed.
Yeah.
Chris, you know better, you're a lawyer. Oh, sorry, am I correct in saying you're a lawyer?
It's a KC, it's a King's Counsel.
Okay, perfect. Right, so you
Extremely
should know better.
senior
Right,
lawyer.
if you did your homework, you would have realised that Richard Gadd made it very clear that Netflix fictionalised the story. Let me repeat.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. They said it. They made it very clear, and yet you're saying you want facts.
No, you're wrong.
They fictionalised it. So what are you talking about?
The Netflix series says this is a true story. And in fact, further than that... Hang on, let me finish. Further to that, last week, a senior Netflix executive appeared in Parliament and under oath stated the following.
Now, this is interesting. The fact that a senior at Netflix appeared in Parliament under oath swore this. Take a look.
Okay, go ahead.
It's an extraordinary story, and it is obviously a true story of the horrific abuse that the writer and protagonist Richard Gadd suffered at the hands of a convicted stalker. We did take every reasonable precaution in disguising the real-life identities of the people involved in that story.
So, just to repeat, there is no evidence she's a convicted stalker.
May I interrupt?
Which means it's not a true story if that is the case. And they clearly did not do their duty of care to protect her identity.
No, lie.
Because she was identified within seconds.
Lie.
What do you mean lie?
May I interrupt? It's your show, may I interrupt? I'll just say it really quickly.
I mean, she says, may I interrupt, whilst interrupting. It's just quite ironic.
Richard Gadd and Netflix made it very clear that this is a fictionalised story.
They literally just said it's true.
Don't interrupt. You see, you want to get aggy. You want to... You're getting aggy at
No,
me,
you're
interrupting me.
You haven't listened to what I just played.
No, so stop and listen to what I'm saying. Richard Gadd and Netflix made it very clear that this is a fictionalised story. Richard Gadd also made it clear on This Morning and many other... No, in fact, it was just this morning and a few articles that I read, that he was trying to make it clear that he wanted to express a story that was based off of nuance in regards to the human experience, and it was fictionalised for Netflix, as in they made it a bit more entertaining and salacious.
Listen,
your styly, your thing, right?
Iman, with respect, that is simply not true.
No, it
I've literally just played you a clip of a Netflix
and I'm giving you the nuance and giving you both ends.
There's no
of
nuance. It's either fictionalised or it's not.
Now, at the beginning of every series, it was spoken about it being based off of a true story. In fact, it was based off of true events. So, you know, it wasn't fictionalized. And this whole thing happened in real life. At least that's what was portrayed within the show. The whole idea was this truly happened. And yes, it's a dramatization of what happened, but it's based off of a true story. Like, there's no two ways about it. They made it based on a true story.
No, there's always nuance. Don't ever play that game. There's always nuance, and you know this, Piers. You're an intelligent man. You know there is always nuance in life.
Okay,
don't ever say that again in your life. Please.
Let me go to Chris Law again. I mean, you can be into nuance as much as you like, but when you have an executive saying...
it's being a good human
Can you
being.
let Chris respond, please? When you have somebody under oath in Parliament saying what he just said, I mean, that seems to me, prima facie, they are saying it is a true story and she was a convicted stalker and they protected her identity. None of that seems at the moment to be true.
If I can come in, Piers, it's not true. I'm looking at the press release. I told you, this is the press release from the 15th of April when the show was first launched. And this is Netflix's own press release. And what it says is, while this type of storyline might seem familiar, it's important to remember that this isn't just a story, it's true. And they say it's true without any caveat, without any reference to it being in some way partly true or nuanced.
Sorry, Chris. Only at the beginning.
It says that repeatedly.
I'm going to shut up now.
It repeats itself. It says here. Can I just quote this for a moment?
Just so you know.
Well, there's no point. If your contributor's just going to interrupt, we're not going to get anywhere.
Sorry, you're right. You're right, Chris. Sorry.
Let him speak,
please. You're right.
There is a massive headline in the press release. Is Baby Reindeer a true story? And the quote is, "It's true," says Richard Gadd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without any, it's true on an emotional, nuanced level, and maybe not entirely accurately true. I can tell you now, the only reason why Richard Gadd and Netflix have been coming out with all this rubbish in the last few days is because they are defending themselves against an almost inevitable libel claim.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Let's bring in the two other guests. We've been watching and listening patiently. Officer Tatum, you've been all over this Baby Reindeer. What do you make of it? I mean, it's an extraordinary story. It's gripping the world. I mean, the numbers we've been getting for the interview, for the debates, everything about it are almost unprecedented. What do you make of this? What does it say about us? And do you believe Fiona Harvey?
Well, I'll say this, you know, the reason why the story is so compelling is because it's supposed to be a true story. I mean, me and my wife watched the docuseries and we were blown away that this really happened.
I think I completely agree with that. You know, the video and, the series itself would not have had the same level of impact if they hadn't said that it was a true story. And if it wasn't a true story, it would have just been another fictionalized docuseries or documentary from... It was like Dharma. When Netflix brought out Dharma, it was phenomenal. And it's also made... It just went levels beyond because it truly happened. Yes, there was elements of dramatization for the show, but at the crux of it, it truly happened, which is why Dharma, obviously based off of the incidents of Jeffrey Dahmer, was so amazing. The incidents weren't amazing, but, you know, the series was amazing. It was an amazing depiction of what truly happened. I'll have to clear myself up on that one before anyone gets the wrong end of the stick. But it's the same with Baby Reindeer. It was such a good show because it truly happened, allegedly.
I mean, it was, you know, implemented or at least stated that this woman was absolutely insane and out of her mind. How could you send thousands of emails and messages. She couldn't spell. She was kind of dumb. She lied about her story. You know, she was an incredible stalker. I mean, I felt, you know, some type of way, and I didn't even experience it. And the only reason that anyone could feel that way is because it said at the very beginning of the documentary that this is a true story.
Yeah.
And so I watch your interview, and it had millions of views. And the reason why it had millions of views is because the implication of this young lady. And she actually comes on and does an interview with you. And my basic point is this: when it comes to her interview, she made a lot of claims in your interview that if any of those claims are true, that this is a huge problem for Netflix, because she said things that can be readily provable. And if Netflix did not approve any of these things, they're in a huge amount of trouble.
Yeah.
She says she's never been to jail. She said she had never bashed anything at the parlor there, at the bar. She claimed that she had never assaulted him, raped him, or whatever they want to call it. She claimed that she had never done any of those things. And if she's done none of those things, this documentary should have never been made, or they should have clarified.
One extreme to the next, with all due respect, and I know I keep interrupting, but I'm going to do it anyway. With one extreme to the next. I already said this, and I hear you, and I appreciate you, because I've seen you, and you talk a lot of sense. So I'm going to be respectful, okay? And a lot of nonsense. And a lot of nonsense. All right, balance. So they already made it clear that it was fictionalized, which I said earlier. But you know what? What you're all saying, wait. What you're all saying, wait.
It's not true.
Wait, can I finish?
You can keep saying it.
You're the only
so
person that's saying
I'm going to give you
this.
something different.
See, I don't know where they've said that it's fictional. Like, other than Richard Gadd coming out on Lorraine and this morning to say that one part was fictional for the show, that's the only part where I've seen any admittance to something being fictional. Like, the rest of it, everybody from day dot claimed that this was a true story.
You're the only person on planet Earth that's saying that it's fictionalized.
Gentlemen, allow me to finish.
We can't just keep saying the same thing again.
Everybody.
So, fictionalized.
Can you let us talk?
What you want, gentlemen, is the caption at the beginning, a true story, but was fictionalized. So you want a true story. You want the full sentence. You want the full sentence.
This
story,
docuseries,
but fictionalized.
This
I already told you it was fictionalized. They did it in the interviews, and yet you don't want to hear that and class it as untrue. That is a lie, because you are an extremist. You are all extremists. I'm a centrist.
All right.
I get down to the nuance.
Let me.
Richard Gadd was trying to do with this
story. Come on. Let me bring in Andy.
This is amazing. This is amazing. She is off her rocker. Anyway, obviously we've got Andy, who of course is part of Planet Popcorn, and he did a phenomenal job towards the end of the interview, where basically what he does is he has his 30 seconds where he was allowed to speak without being interrupted. And literally that was it, by the way. And he took it. And he actually asked Piers Morgan some very pressing questions that I was intrigued about. Knowing the alleged character of Fiona Harvey, knowing the characteristics that have been portrayed about her, allegedly, I was intrigued to see what the repercussions were after the interview with her, whether she continued to try to stay in touch with the show, the producers, the executives, whatever, Piers himself. Because obviously she did the interview and then she wasn't happy with how the interview came out. She felt like she was going to get more of a fair trial, but she felt like Piers kind of held her to rights, which, it was just a brilliant interview. But Popcorn Planet did upload a video, obviously, after the Piers Morgan interview went live, to share his thoughts and opinions on what went on. And here it is. So, oh my God. Did the real-life Martha harass Piers after the interview? Right? This is where it gets really interesting.
Guys, guess who was on Piers Morgan today? I've seen that I've been trying to get Piers's attention to be like, yo, Piers, we gotta have you on. And I've made it my mission to be persistent, because apparently that's what it takes. And it looks like the persistence paid off.
It did.
I thought we could share a clip, because you know me, Steph, when I go on a show, I like to try. I'm an interviewer myself. I like to get a little in there, and I got to interview Piers and ask the question that I know everybody wanted to know. So I thought we could share that, and I could also tease and tell you guys to go check out his latest episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored, featuring yours truly, along with Officer Tatum, who's really fun, and this lawyer, Chris, who is going to be apparently representing real life Martha in a court case. What? Yeah, listen to it. And then you got this woman on the end who is so rude and insane. Oh my God, I don't even remember her name. I don't care. She was despicable, wouldn't let any of us speak. I don't know how Piers does it. He always likes to have someone who hates him come on there who's so bad and rude and ignorant that his haters look stupid.
Now, I think that the reason that he does this is literally to create some form of controversy which increases the views tenfold. Like, it's clever. It's so clever.
And this woman was unbearable. She was so rude, interrupting us. So enjoy. It takes a while to get to us because this woman won't stop talking. But I wanted to play the first clip, and I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory of how it all went down, because I'm here in Los Angeles. Apologies for all the sound as I've been rushing to get all this made. But when it rains, it pours, right, Steph? But I wanted to share this clip because, yes, I asked Piers a question as we were talking about the lawsuit updates, which is worth watching the whole video. But if you want to play the first clip, here we go. Here's me asking Piers about...
Well, I have a question for you. All the internet wants to know, and I'm sorry if I missed if you answered it. Has she stalked your producers who reached out? I feel like it's relevant.
Actually,
other journalists she's interviewed have said it.
To be honest, she's had a couple of slightly intemperate messages, but nothing particularly out of the ordinary.
That's a yes,
but
yeah.
she's also today had a very good conversation with two of my producers and was in a pretty good place about it all. And look, I think anyone like Fiona Harvey who is suddenly propelled into the global public spotlight, albeit willingly when she came on this show, but anyone who does that, you know, you lose your anonymity in a flash. But of course, the reason she came on was that her anonymity had been shattered by what Netflix did. And as Chris Daw rightly says, the key question, aside from the abject failure of duty of care, the key question is if you say somebody is a self-confessed, by the way, because she was seen pleading guilty, if you're a self-confessed convicted multiple stalker, and it turns out none of that is actually true, I think it's a prima facie open and shut legal case. Whatever Netflix says. I do know.
Pause, because I come back and I follow up, but there you go. And you can see how lovely that woman was, constantly interrupting us. But how nice to see that. Crazy, right, Steph?
What the hell? Wow.
And she kept doing it. Sorry, I don't know her name. I guess I should learn it so I can really properly shade her, because she was so inconsiderate, constantly interrupting to say, you're right, he's right. And it's like, I don't care, woman, what you think about who's right and right. It's not your show, it's Piers's. And she did not know how to shut up and just let the rest of us speak. Anyway, as I got my moment again, you had to politely try to get your moment in, I wanted to really hit it home. And so I asked again, here it is, the question at hand.
Said it's a true story.
Yes.
That's what legally matters. And that's why I was asking you, because I'm curious. I think it was the Daily Mail or someone said that she was being very aggressive and verbally mean and calling him names after the interview. You haven't experienced that.
We have not had that really at all. I mean, I think she's a volatile person. I personally believe she did send all those messages because I do believe that Netflix and Richard Gadd must have evidential stuff about those. I also think she wrote him 106 handwritten letters and she admitted sending one. You just compare the handwriting and there's probably proof there. But that's to be decided, frankly, by a lawsuit. And actually, even if she did send all those messages, that might indicate an unhealthy obsession with this guy, although he, by his own admission, both in interviews and in the series, has said that he was very screwed up at the time. He was taking a lot of drugs, had a very wild sex life.
Get a sense, though, this is the lawyers now apparently is in talks to represent Fiona Harvey in this case, which I hope. But go back to my still, Steph. How cool is it to see a two-shot? No, sorry, go back to the interview I was saying. On the interview, just rewind a little bit. Go to that two-shot of me and Piers. Like, come on. How epic is this? There it is. Popcorn Planet truly is there with Piers Morgan Uncensored. We're making big moves, as we said, right? We were going to crush this year. And my goodness, I was honored to be there. Look, I really do like Piers. I don't always agree with Piers. I've said things against Piers, but I like Piers because he can handle it. And he likes to talk to people who criticize or have different opinions. And so, and Piers knows how to put on a show. He does. Yeah. He is a producer at heart himself, and he likes to create the circus, if you will, but also try to give people their say. And he likes to have the final word. You just got to know who you're going on, right? And who you're dealing with. So I got respect for Piers. I was very grateful he let me on. And now we can go to my tweet. I tweeted out sort of how I did this, and Piers responded. So I'll give you the background, but his brilliant. I didn't even know this is what you were doing. Great to have you on. You were terrific, Steph. So yeah, I already got word from the booking producer. We'd love to have you back. So we might now be in the Piers Morgan rotation. Cha-ching! And good things happening. But I thought...
Now, I'm going to stop it there because it kind of spirals onto some other things. But I wanted to add that in because obviously Popcorn Planet, go and check out his full video if you want to check it out. All of it for yourself. There's some good points that he makes towards the end. Absolutely well-deserved. This man is, he's doing bits right now. And... he's covered this whole Fiona Harvey situation so thoroughly, so well, and he deserved to be on with Piers Morgan, and I agree with the sentiment and the points that were made with what he said at the end there. Does everyone agree with Piers Morgan? No. But you don't agree with him because he asked the questions. Well, people like him because he asked the questions that everyone else is too afraid to ask. He's just bullish like that. He will just go for the jugular if needed, and... you need people like that, especially in a situation like this, where you can be temperamental and you can, beat around the bush, but you don't get any answers. He went straight for Fiona Harvey's jugular with the questions that he asked. He, pulled and used her words against her to a degree, to the point where she just tripped over in the interview and ended up actually admitting to a lot of the things that she'd first denied, which a lot of interviewers wouldn't have the goals to do. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, if you haven't checked out the full Piers Morgan Uncensored episode, go and check that out. It's really interesting to see Chris's take on everything. Of course, Chris was the lawyer who's going to be potentially representing Fiona Harvey when she tries to sue Netflix, if she does choose to go ahead with that. It's interesting to see his takes on things. But what do you guys think on this whole situation? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to jump to get the hell out of that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Tick on my little bell so you get notified whenever we upload. Until next time, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed. I cannot wait to see you in the next one. And I'll speak to you later. Peace.